Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, just to kick off officially the meeting, firstly, we'd like to welcome you all to this important meeting and thank you most earnestly for your precious time and effort. Just wanted to note that this meeting is being recorded as there were people who wanted to attend, but unfortunately weren't able to. I know a lot of you have a lot to say and you have questions or comments. So how this meeting will go is we'll have a speaker's presentation and then there will be an opportunity to ask questions or make comments. Significant attendees at this meeting will be sharing very important ideas. And for all those who are present and who are interested in being a part of the organizers of the project in their own nations, will be able to fill out a form at hafat.org/let's help Afghan refugees. I'll also be putting that link in the chat just so it's there for you. And then any inquiries that you have can also be made through info@hafat.org. So again, I'll be including that in the chat box as well. So just before I pass it over to the speaker, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about him. His name is Dr. Amir Laka. He was born in Mombasa, Kenya. He was a family physician until he retired in 2009 to devote his full time to charity work and has been the founder and chairman of the Humanitarian and Charitable One Trust, also known as HACOT. He has a lot of experience working with very poor, destitute, and needy individuals. He has presented a seminar on smart cities for refugees at the annual general meeting of the World Bank in Washington, USA, and has also spoken on conflicts and poverty at the United Nations headquarters in New York, USA. He has received the award of Fabulous CSR Global Leader from the World CSR Congress. He is the author of the book Heads You Win, Tails You Win, and 40 Relationship Problems, How to Prevent Them. He has proven capability as an organizer and a leader and has embarked on full-time commitment to charity work and has developed an effective working model for number 1, poverty and hunger reduction, economic empowerment, number 2, refugees of the world, number 3, global peace, number 4, smart cities, number 5, CSR projects with NGO collaboration, number 6, effective education, number 7, achievement of happiness. He is a World Peace Ambassador, a consul for the London Changemakers Group of Internations, and president of Novel Support Links, also known as NSL. He's an organization that NSL is an organization that provides support to widows, widowers, and divorcees. He posts articles regularly on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, and has a large following on social media. He runs a global citizen group for global peace on Facebook and lectures on various topics in various countries. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Amir Laka.
Thank you, Sakina, for your introduction of me. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to welcome you all to this meeting. It is an important meeting, and it is going to charge a very simple solution for a very difficult contemporary issue about Afghan refugees. So I'm going to go into a little bit of the background, some of which comes from my own experience and knowledge, and some from what I read about and understand of what is actually going on the ground. Let me tell you that in general, refugees really would much rather prefer to be in their own homes, in their own nations, and get on with life as normal without being a burden on anyone or any nation. This is what those people who are labeled as refugees, they don't want to be in other people's nations or homes. They don't want to be a burden. They had to flee to various areas and various nations overnight with no possessions, purely and simply for their safety and the safety of their families. These are ordinary people just like you and me. They were once well off and respected in society. They held some important posts. They were admired and respected by all in the locality that they inhabited. And suddenly, overnight, they left that place and went into somewhere which was completely alien and foreign for them. They were facing a shell shock to their brains. A lot of them suffered from traumatic uh, experience. Now we have to open our hearts and do more to help these people. That is not difficult. We can do it. This is possible because we can all join our hands together. We do our little bit, whatever we can, and it is got to be a combined effort. We can succeed in achieving the objective for which we have set out and organized this meeting. It is possible. Now, do you know that each refugee remains a refugee for an average of 17 years, 1 7. You know, so a lot of people have become refugees. And you know, all over the world, there are 82.4 million people who are forcibly displaced. And out of these, 26.4 million are refugees. 26.4 million are refugees. This is no exaggeration. Now, these refugees, uh, on average, would remain a refugee for 17 years before they find their feet. Okay, so in the past, there was no system, there was nobody think on the lines that we are going to think, where they could be helped to achieve employment right at the outset. Because what used to happen is they would go into the camps and suffer all the mental trauma and lose their self esteem. And so many problems came through that they were not able to get back on their feet. Now, here it is where this has happened only recently. The Afghan refugees have just arrived, and we have got this opportunity to help them. And we have got these vacancies, so many unfilled vacancies. And do you know, because of the unfilled vacancies, the commercial uh, companies, the business owners, are having a lot of difficulties. At the same time, members of the public are also being inconvenienced because they are not getting the supplies that they normally would. So each refugee remains a refugee for 17 years. Now, don't forget this because this is what we have to now change. From 17 years, we say to less than a year, where they become normal, employed people living a normal life. The second thing we have to remember is we are all stakeholders in this international system. Our futures are bound with the fate of other human beings in other parts of the world. So don't think that you live or I live in an isolated cocoon. Whatever happens elsewhere will have an effect on our life as well. So it is our uh, business, our job, our responsibility as much as other people's as well. You know, the world leaders and institutions on their own cannot handle the Herculean task successfully. There is so much going on, disasters, and lots of problems with the economy, with the pandemic, and with this refugee crisis and all that, those sort of problems. The governments cannot on their own handle it. They need the support and collaboration of the private sector, civil societies, and global citizens. So this is where we come in. We need to support the governments, and the governments are willing to now accept the support. Things have changed. Whereas in the past it was different, the governments are now willing to accept the support. So we are going to be working together. We have to acknowledge that the responsibility is collective, and so must be the actions. So we have to plan. We are all part of this universe. We are part of this humanitarian structure. And whatever happens in other parts of the world also should affect us. Now, you see, the thing is, various nations have kindly accepted refugees from Afghanistan. You know that. There are Afghan refugees in UK, America, Canada, Uganda, many places. And we are all representatives from all various nations. And we are thanking you for taking the time to attend this interactive meeting to firstly identify the task and secondly the strategy. That's not a big problem. The task is really to help the Afghan refugees to become independent earners, to be able to stand on their own 2 feet without being a burden on anyone or any nation. At the same time, all those unfilled vacancies, they should be filled up by these refugees, by enabling the refugees to be trained to take up those posts. And there are posts in several different departments, and they are in thousands. And we're not saying it at the top of our head. We have got all the statistics, and we have got it in writing. We have even got the numbers of how many vacancies. So we are going to work at it. The mode of operation, how we're going to go about, will be finalized once the project teams are formed in the respective nations. So there'll be teams in different nations, and in different nations there may be different localities. So, for example, in England, in UK, you may have a group for London, another group for maybe Birmingham. Different places will have different groups, but we will make work in a structured way and see how we're going to develop that project. And we will work in collaboration with all the other organizations. I've already attended one meeting last Thursday with the Refugee Council of UK, with PAIWAN, which is the Afghani main Afghani uh, Refugee Association, which does a lot of good work. And there is another one, which is the Afghani and Central Asian Association, also doing a lot of good work. So I was able to get a lot of information, which enabled me to know what is exactly going on with the refugees who have just arrived, what they are going through, what are their problems, and how we can help. One of the main things that came out was that the Afghan refugees who have arrived, the main problems are that they are got a shell shock. They really are very, very frightened. They don't go out much. They don't have the currency or the way of communicating. At the same time, at the moment, it's causing a lot of friction within the family. Uh, because of being in the house all the time, and secondly also causing a little bit of mental upset, mental illness as well. So it is something that has started, and we know that in all human beings, work is good because work helps with the mind and the body. So work is good for mind and body. We have to get them to work after preparing them properly, not rushing them. But we must know whether they have a passion for a particular job, whether they have the caliber for the particular job, whether they are able to learn all the little bits of techniques, and we can also help them to develop self-development skills so that they are able to carry out the jobs satisfactorily and enjoy themselves. And whilst they are working, they keep away from mental illnesses, marital disharmony, and all sorts of problems. So currently we know that, for example, in the United Kingdom, there are thousands of vacancies for employees to fill the supermarket shelves. That's a very simple job, but there are a lot of vacancies. And because of this problem of vacancies, the supermarkets are unable to handle a lot of orders that they already have, and the customers are also inconvenienced. Secondly, picking of fruits and vegetables from the farms. We know that 35% of all the fruits and vegetables that were grown were thrown away, were not picked because there were no pickers, fruit pickers or vegetable pickers. So we need those people to do it. Now, those are simple things which some refugees can get started whilst they are being trained for what really they were capable of doing. Then there are people, there's a shortage of heavy goods vehicles drivers, and there's a huge shortage. And that also can be done. Some people can be trained. In Canada, there are women who drive trucks who came from India. So it is possible to train people to drive trucks. Then we need people to work in care homes and health facilities. There is a huge shortage. Now, these are some of the places I've mentioned, but I've got another list of 13 places with statistics, figures of how many jobs are available. So, this is where we are going to connect the refugees to the jobs. Now, in other nations, there may be shortage of other skills, and we shall find that out soon as well. Once we form the group, we shall find out what is the sort of skill that is needed, what are the jobs that are vacant. We'll find out all that, and we'll have it all transparent. We will probably build a website and have it all on the website so everybody knows what is going on. So the idea is to assist the refugees to become independent earners and stand on their own two feet. That is the idea. Independent earners, not depending on anybody or not depending on the government benefits. Secondly, to help fill the unfilled vacancies and the host nations unfilled vacancies in their host nations, and will be assisting in the economic recovery of the nations. At the moment, for example, in the UK, with the Brexit and the pandemic, the nation needs a lot of boost to recover. And we have to work together. We have to work collectively because the responsibility is collective and so must be the actions. So please remember the words I've spoken because it's our responsibility as much as the government's. So let us work together in this. So we'll now have questions, comments, etc. We discuss and we're going to take it forward step by step. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lekha.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. My name is Neelam, and I will be facilitating the question and answer session. So firstly, I'd like to thank Dr. Lekha for giving us that overview of the plight of the Afghan refugees and the impact of their situation on them, and also highlighting our collective responsibility towards this population, and leading us to think about ways in which we can avail existing resources and share them on the path towards economic independence and empowerment. And so it's really wonderful to see a good number of individuals here who are obviously invested and interested in this project. And so I will open the floor now to questions and comments. A couple of housekeeping rules. If anyone would like to comment or contribute, please do use the raise hand icon. That just makes it more efficient for me to be able to see who would like to participate. And given the number of attendees we have today, I would ask that we please be mindful of the time and space that we're taking. As was mentioned earlier by Sakina, if there is continued interest at the end of the meeting, then in the chat, we do have a link to a form that can be filled in to register your interest. And there's also an email address if you have further inquiries. So with that, if you do have something to contribute, please do go ahead and raise your hand.
Could you show us where the hand raising icon is on the screen?
Sure. If you go to reactions, it should be on the bottom.
Okay, got you.
Right-hand side, and you click there, and it's the second one along.
Okay, very good.
So I'm just going to go according to what I see on my screen. And I have a raised hand from Zamir, so please do go ahead.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. My name is Zamir Ahmed from Istanbul in Turkey. And first of all, thank you, Dr. Laka, for the very lucid opening presentation that you made surrounding the plight of Afghan refugees. Now, if I may, I want to keep this as brief as possible. I'm assuming now that we have a number in terms of those refugees that have arrived in the United Kingdom right now. Am I correct?
Yes,
Do we have a mean number, benchmark number right now?
about 15,000.
15,000. Okay. So I think the key, and I think more are to be expected, probably not in the hundreds of thousands, but certainly another 10 or 15,000 over the next coming weeks and months. I think one of the keys here is, first of all, as you've very rightly raised, is first of all the immediate plight that they face, the psychological PTSD and so on and so forth, etc. The various psychological effects that they have of either being dismembered from their families or their friends or their general lifestyle, etc., etc. So I think the first focus is to, and this will probably be done at a governmental level, hopefully, is to give them some degree of, shall we say, understanding and peace, so that they can understand that they are in the position that they're in. This, I think, is very, very important to begin with. This is all, I guess, part of the post-traumatic stress disorder that anyone in that situation would, at any juncture, have to go through. Now, as you will appreciate, in situations like those found in Afghanistan, you will find amongst those 15, 20,000 people from all walks of life. We've been reading about people who have been working with missions in Afghanistan, either with the United Kingdom mission or other embassies and so on and so forth, who've wanted to come to the United Kingdom. This is what I've been reading. And then, of course, there are those who are from perhaps smaller settlements outside of the big cities like Kabul and so on and so forth. So we find a slightly different economic background there. So essentially, we have a profile of people, some of whom may be well-educated, some of whom may be particularly highly educated, and others who may just be on the border, so to speak. And this is where I feel technology comes in. And as you may know, and for the benefit of the others in this meeting, I chair a company in Turkey, a holding company, and we're largely involved in disseminating our technologies in various sectors, from water and sanitation, education, and so on and so forth, both at a commercial and at a non-commercial level. Now, I think the quickest and the smartest way of getting people into these areas of employment that you very rightly pointed out, because one has to have interaction inside society in order to have mental peace of mind and so on and so forth. Upskilling, what we call upskilling and reskilling, is something which would be very, very important to the refugees in the United Kingdom. This is a concept that we've now slowly started rolling out in Turkey. What does that mean? It means the following. You may have, and I'm sure many people in this meeting will know that there are, many people in places like New York and the United Kingdom and many other major cities and conurbations throughout Europe where you have refugees or indeed immigrants with either undergraduate degrees or postgraduate degrees who are essentially driving, motorcycles or Ubers and so on and so forth. So they're essentially trying to, and living a hand-to-mouth existence because they can't find the kind of jobs that they would otherwise have found in their own countries. So what we need to do, in my opinion, is think about reskilling certain people. And what does reskilling mean? It means that if, for example, somebody who's, in this first batch of refugees that has come from Afghanistan wants to work in the technology sector, for example, then we have to allow them access through a platform where they can acquire the skills to be able to train themselves either online or through other means, i.e. in a school setting, a community college setting or a technical college setting, whereby they could learn skills such as becoming a data analyst or a data scientist or a programmer and so on and so forth. These are the skills that ultimately, and notwithstanding your points about the existing vacancies, not everyone wants to be stacking supermarket shelves for the rest of their lives. Yes, in the beginning, they have to do something in order to survive and bring bread to the table. But in the long term, part of increasing their self-esteem, which is very, very important in them assimilating into society or the new society that they've joined, is for them to have the ability to access certain skills and vocations. And this is where technology comes into play. This is where we can introduce certain platforms into your foundation and into your, essentially into your systems of trying to bring and assimilate these people into everyday and daily life. This is what we're doing in Turkey, and this is hopefully something that we would be very, very delighted in rolling out with you as and when your organization of this particular situation starts unfolding. That's all I wanted to add for now, and we can add more things later on.
Thank you, Zamir. Thank you for your ideas. They've all been noted.
And if I could ask, I'm sorry, I was a little remiss earlier. If people who would like to comment could please just give a brief intro of their name, where they're attending from, and the work that they do. And that would be really useful to contextualize the scope of our group. So Zamir, would you mind taking a couple of seconds just to do that?
Sure. As I think I already did, but I think maybe you might have missed that. I think, basically I chair a holding company, which is a group of companies that are involved in various sectors, not just here in Turkey, but in various other parts of the world, including the United Kingdom. They're largely technology-based, but they're largely technologies which are involved in enhancing people's daily lives, for example, water and sanitation, energy provision, and so on and so forth. And of course, education, which plays a very, very important part in the things that we do.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your input there. Okay, so.
Sure.
Seeing many raised hands, is there anyone else? We've obviously had access to a lot of information here, and I can see that we've got a good number of people. So if anyone has comments or questions.
I think Ms. Neelam, if you just walked through everyone how to raise electronically raise their hands, because some people are manually raising their hands.
Okay, so at the bottom of the screen, there is a reactions icon. So if you click on that, you will see a number of little images, and on my screen, at least the second one along is actually just at the bottom, it says raise hand. So you can just click on that, and that will indicate that you would like to comment. If that is a struggle for people, then you are welcome to switch on your video and physically raise your hand if that makes life easier, because we would like to benefit from the expertise and knowledge of people here today.
Mr. Mushtaq Ali wants to say something.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Laka, for the beautiful presentation regarding the Afghan refugees and how important it is for us to facilitate them to take our responsibility as human beings. And various religions have highlighted, including Islam, as to the importance of helping our brothers in Islam. So it was a beautiful presentation, and of course, Zamir Ahmad followed it with a question and highlighting a few things as well, that how we need to re-skill the certain refugees after the initial settling down. So that was all very good. I've only got one brief question, which is that how do you propose to go about this huge task so that the refugees are firstly temporarily settled so they don't have any problems putting food on the table, accommodation, clothing, etc. And then on a permanent basis, how do you propose or what ideas have you got? What is on the agenda to settle them permanently?
At the moment, the government has made a lot of arrangements for those who came in. So a lot of them are in hotels, and they have been provided now. There was a little bit of delay, but now they've been provided with pocket money as well as toiletries, and are gradually being provided with information about what they can do. Now, some of the refugees who have come have been given special passes to stay in the UK like citizens. So they have almost got the same rights. So they are entitled to even work, then they are entitled to drive, lots of things that they can do. But it's just that they arrived about a few weeks ago. So at the moment, they are really recovering from the post-traumatic disorder that they've developed, because it's a shock. They've left everything. They have come with nothing. And these people were well settled. Some of them were well off, and some were educated in top posts. But now if you see them, they are living in a hotel, but this is not compatible with what they were used to. There, they were well-known, famous people, well-known, and here nobody knows them. Suddenly, all this. So there is a big shell shock to the system that they have to, like Zamir mentioned, that also has to be handled. And there are organizations now at the moment looking for those who provide services for mental health. So we're looking, and they are in short supply. So that is one. They are looked after for in the early stages by accommodation, food, and small sort of comforts. But in the long run, although there is possibility of getting employment, but there's no set up formal scheme for employment, which is what we are aiming for. So when I attended the meeting on Thursday, where there were all those people, whoever could be involved with Afghan refugees and actually refugees department, they were there. There were 60 of them, but they had no plans for the employment bit, which we have got. And we have got, because I've got a lot of experience in economic empowerment projects and also with refugees. It'll be it's all on the videos in our website, hackot.org. You'll see the videos where I'm speaking. You can tell that got the experience. So that experience will be shared with these Afghan refugees. And because there are already jobs, we are going to chase those jobs, establish where they are, and then connect the refugees. Whilst they look for their original jobs or similar to that, they can do something to keep them occupied and some money coming in. So they will do those other real jobs which they were doing, but in the interim, keep the mind going, body going, and not to go into depression and things like that. This might be the way out. So we'll work out something. This is just started. This is the first day where we started talking about it.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much. I forgot to introduce myself. I'll do that very quickly. And my question has been answered well by Dr. Laka. My name is Mushtaq Ali. I'm based in Birmingham, in the United Kingdom, in England. And basically, I am involved with Dr. Laka in NSL group. But for the sake of other attendees, I'm a UK citizen. I'm based in Birmingham, as I say, and I have a real interest in these sort of projects. Thank you.
Thank you
so much. I next will turn to Hussein, who has his hand raised, Hussein Sajjad Hussein, followed by Brother Kamruddin Khaki. And just keeping an eye on the time, I would respectfully request that we keep comments to around a minute or so. And if there is time towards the end, we can always resume. So please go ahead, Hussein.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you very much, Dr. Amir Laka, for your excellent session and for enlightening us on this very important topic. Just to introduce myself, I'm Hussein. I work for Ahlul Bayt TV, a UK-based Shia TV channel, and I also run a marketing agency where I am at the moment in Toronto, Canada. And we've heard quite a bit from Brother Zamir and Dr. Amir, and thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on what needs to be done for the Afghan refugees. I simply wanted to take a moment to just share our support for this initiative, and on behalf of the channel, I'm happy to allocate a program to discuss this topic so that viewers worldwide can learn more about this topic and the issue. And if there's anything that we can do from the channel standpoint, we are happy to offer any support that we can. But from the initial stages, we're happy to allocate a program and invite Dr. Amir Laka. And maybe if Dr. Amir has access to refugees who have just recently arrived in the UK or any part of the world, such as Canada, US, and they're willing to share their story live on TV, I think that'll be beneficial as well, so viewers can understand some of the hardships that these refugees are currently undergoing, and also be able to offer some kind of solution to help them settle in their respective areas, inshallah, in their new countries. So the channel is there to offer any support, and we're happy to give you the platform to raise awareness of this issue and this initiative. Just a very quick review as well about a documentary we recently did on the Hazaras. We've tackled and raised awareness of the plight of the Afghan Hazaras and their persecution. And again, that's available to watch on the YouTube channel. But if there's anything else that we can do aside from documentary production, we're happy to offer that support.
Thank you, Hussein. Thank you for your magnanimity. We appreciate that. And we'll take it up. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Kamruddin Khaki, and I'm just reading the names off my screen. So please do go ahead. Please, could you unmute? Please go ahead, Khaki. Okay, maybe there might be a technical issue there. So what I'll do is move on to Mohammed Zaki and return to Kakaji in a couple of moments.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you sincerely, Dr. Amir Lakha and the team for this initiative. Without taking much of your time, I will introduce myself. It's Mohammed Zaki, currently based out of Kinshasa, the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo. I jet in between Africa and Canada, particularly the French Canada. I'm the vice president and co-founder of a renowned recruitment company that is called Recruitlink. It is based out of Canada in Quebec. It is one of the leading, artificially enabled recruitment company in the Northern American side. And we also own a separate company that is called Imig Action. That is an affiliate company to Recruitlink that supports, bringing on expatriates to the country. We are partnered with, we actually have a joint venture with an Indian firm that is active in 10 countries, four in Africa, four in Asia, and one in Silicon Valley, and one in Canada. So we are, I would just simply like to put across our complete support in enabling our artificially enabled recruitment platform to onboard as much candidate as possible. And just to mention a few, that we are working very priority with groups like the Bombardier Group in Canada, Desjardins, which is the biggest national case of Canada, the cooperative, and also quite a lot of startups and other rising companies. I actually have my co-founder and president of the group also on the call, Ibrahim Abul Huda. Well, I believe I would just like to put it across this way and reassure our support, complete support, whatever required in terms of technology. In terms of bringing on board the refugees, we also organize on-ground trainings in India, as well as in Madagascar, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Egypt. We would definitely be expanding in further services in Canada and the UK as well. Thank you, Masalam.
Thank you, Mo, for your introduction and the offer. It is really appreciated. Thank you very much. And also welcome to your partner, Ibrahim. You're welcome too.
Thank you, Doctor. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I think it's really wonderful to see the collaboration that's happening here, together with the acknowledgement of the respect and dignity that the Afghan refugees, deserve and are definitely worthy of. And also acknowledging that the needs, as well as the practical needs, also extend to their emotional and mental well-being, given the trauma that they have experienced. I'm going to try once again and see if Sakaji would like to share a comment or question. Okay, I did message earlier as well. It seems as though perhaps there's a technical issue, or perhaps there is no question. I'm not seeing any other raised hands from the icons. Are there other participants who would like to? Okay, great, thank you. Uncle Rafiq, I see your hand is up. Please do go ahead.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum to everybody. My name is Rafiq Mauji. I'm a retired businessman living in Kent. I worked with Dr. Lakha for the last few years. I'm one of the trustees of HECOT, the charity which we run, Dr. Amir Lakha, myself, and another trustee run together. Going further from the comments I heard from Amir Lakha and Zamir, I think the first thing we have to remember that these people who come from Afghanistan, they have a difficulty on languages. You see, they're not very fluent on English language. Therefore, the first thing I believe that we have to help them to get the language understanding as soon as possible after they arrive. After having the language, then they will be able to get the jobs, or they'll be able to fit in the jobs that they are being offered. Otherwise, their communication skill will not be up to scale to go through the jobs they would be offered. So I think the first thing is to give them education about the language. Secondly, it is important that these people who are coming from a traumatic area, they're psychologically disturbed or feel very unsecure, and they should be in an area, or they should be encouraged to be in an area where they also have their own community members around, so that they can go and participate in the activities of the community by which they feel a bit settled and they feel more at home. And the third is that we have to help them to get the jobs that there are available. Now, we have to train them to how to apply for the jobs, or how to approach to the organizations that approaches the jobs are available. With regard to the driving, the truck driving and the delivery, that I think it is a bit too early for them. The reason I say that is, first of all, they have to acquire the driving permit for the UK, for which they are not quite familiar with. So, and that would take little time. But there are other jobs they can take further on. From my own experience, I believe that generally the Afghani people are very enterprising. They may even want to go into their own business. So if they do, then they should be encouraged how to get into their own business. And that is all I have to comment at the present. Thank you for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafiq, for your ideas and your advice. Yes, it has been taken on board. There is a booklet that's been published. It gives all the details, which includes helping them to get into their own business, also to learn English. But some of them, a fair number, because they used to work with the British government, they already have knowledge about English. But those who don't have will need to be given English language classes so that they can get on with life much better. So we take your ideas on board. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I see raised hands from Mohammed and Zamir. I'm not sure if those are follow-up questions or just raised hands from before.
I'd like to ask a question following what Mr. Rafiq has just commented on, but I don't want to jump the queue. So please let whomsoever else wishes to ask a question, I can follow up later. That's not a problem.
Okay, thank you for that. So the only other raised hand I'm seeing at the moment is from Mohammed. Did you have a further question, Mohammed? No? Okay, in that case, Samir, I think you can go ahead. We have about 3 to 4 minutes before the session is due to conclude. Sure. And I see we do have one more raised hand after you.
I'll keep this very brief and very short. I'm sure there are some people attending this this meeting who have traveled to Afghanistan and experienced Afghanistan pre-current government and previous governments also. It's a country I've visited on a number of occasions, so I'm very familiar with the comments that Mr. Rafiq has made, and they're very, very apt and very to the point English. Of course, in the case of the United Kingdom, is a very, very important barrier if you're not able or have a command of it. Certainly working in the, I mean, I even though I'm from Turkey and live here, etc. I did do part of my education in the UK, so I do know the importance of language there. So that's the first thing. This is where I want to bring in this comment that I made earlier about using technology intelligently. Now, what does that mean? I'm not going to go into a long, drawn-out discussion about the technical side of things, but I will mention some things which an earlier commentator, I think Mr. Zaki, mentioned about using artificial intelligence in his recruitment platforms and so on and so forth. I'm not altogether sure in which manner he's doing so, but essentially everyone has access to a smartphone, and via a smartphone you can either A, learn to speak a second or tertiary language, number one, if the interaction and interface modules are designed so that they're very, very easily understandable by the end user, number one. And number two, one comment I'd like to make, if I may, is in terms of training. As you very rightly said, you can't just jump into a heavy goods vehicle anywhere in Europe or in the United States and just start driving it without having gone through all the machinations of training and so on and so forth. And I think heavy goods vehicles take quite some months before you get the first licenses for it. Now, in terms...
If it's okay, I will need to stop you because we do have another member who is looking to share a comment, but I do encourage you to maybe use the chat function because it would be great to hear your input. I'm sorry, it's just because of the constraints of time.
Okay.
I will hand over to Sister Atia. Thank you for raising your hand, and please go ahead. You are muted, Sister Atia. If you could please unmute.
Hi, sorry about that. I just wanted to say, in my experience, in West London, there's a huge Afghani, Shia community that probably came in the last 10, 15 years. And also some of them happen to be in business. And I think there should be some sort of format where we can connect maybe via WhatsApp or some using IT in some form, the new refugees with those who are already settled, Afghans who are settled here. And one of the ways of connecting them is through the community. And I think you should look into that as HACOT could, because I think HIM, Hussaini, Imam Barga in Isleworth would be ideal for you because there is a big community there of Afghans who would be ready to support people in the best way they know best, and the language is not a barrier.
Thank you, Atia. That's very important, what you just said. It's very much appreciated. We are already now in contact with Paiwan, which is the main organization of Afghanis, and we are going to work with them, as well as with the Afghanistan and Central Asian Association. They are also well established, so we are going to work with them as well. And the center you mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. That last point was really important because working myself out of Seattle with a population that has experienced trauma, by far one of the top healing factors is social connection. So particularly with the trauma that the Afghan refugees would have experienced prior to relocating, to have connections with a population that they can relate to and understand is a huge support to practical, emotional and mental well-being. So thank you for raising that. So this brings us to the close of our meeting. I feel that it's been a really productive form of getting us all connected, highlighting the plight of the refugees and really having us think about how we as a collective can support this population. So just to reiterate, please do go ahead, click on the link that's in the chat if you are interested in participating further in this project. I hope from the kind of caliber of individuals that we have here, that you are motivated to join us in this project. And if you have questions, then please do email the HACOT email address, which is also listed in the chat. And with that, we will be reviewing the interest level, and we'll be in touch, inshallah, for, I'm sure, future collaboration and meetings in how to move forward in our quest to empower the refugee populations. Thank you so much.